Well, welcome back. Well, more pushback to Biden's climate agenda. The Supreme Court is tackling a legal battle that could impact the EPA's ability to regulate greenhouse gas emissions from power plants. This case seeks to reserve the power to decide the best path to address climate change to Congress and the states, not a federal agency. Joining me right now is West Virginia Attorney General Patrick Morrisey. AG, great to have you. Thanks very much for being here. Tell us about the upcoming Supreme Court battle over the Clean Power Plan.
Absolutely. And Maria, thank you for having me on. This is one of these really important issues that's kind of sneaking up on people, but we have the really important oral argument at the U.S. Supreme Court, February 28th. It's West Virginia v. EPA, and it really stands for a very simple proposition. When you have these major questions of the day, those decisions actually need to be made by Congress, not by these unelected bureaucrats. And what we've seen over a long period of time, not just with EPA, but for many federal agencies, is that frequently people are trying to seize power when it's not there. Our constitutional republic specifies that the Congress makes the decisions on the major questions of the day, not these federal agencies when they haven't had power delegated to them. And that's what the case is all about. We're excited to go in because we know that the EPA has been overreaching for many, many years. That harms West Virginia, our jobs, the power grid. Obviously, it will dramatically increase the price of electricity, and that's why we're fighting back.
And perhaps that's why you've seen a different tone in West Virginia, because coal is important. All of these climate initiatives coming out of this White House go against thousands or tens of thousands of jobs in West Virginia. Isn't that right?
Well, that's exactly right. Obviously, West Virginia pays a very high price for the decisions that are made by an out-of-touch EPA. But our proposition is still very simple. West Virginia, New York, California, Texas, everyone needs to get a seat at the table when it comes to a major question like climate change. So that's the fair way to do it. That's the way the Constitution sets it out. No one should get the unfair advantage of having one federal agency decide to unilaterally decarbonize. This is not the way our system works, and we're pushing the court on that point.
Well, it's the same thing when you consider the elections. You know, the states are supposed to deal with their own elections, and yet we're seeing a power grab. The federal government, the administration, wants to federalize all elections. So do you feel that you're getting a power grab where this administration is trying to take power away from the states?
Oh, I think there's no doubt about that. You're seeing that across the board, whether you're talking about the issues pertaining to climate change, whether you're talking about what happened with the vaccine mandates. And then, of course, you have their absolute destruction, what's going on down at the border. And we've talked about that in the past, that this is a federal government and an administration that's not only not doing its job, it's actively harming the American people because it's not upholding its duties as the chief executive.
Yeah, there's a real dereliction of duty, as we have spoken about in the past. I joined you a week ago at the southern border. You and 12 other attorneys general were there to view what's going on and the implications for your own states. And this morning we have a new report out by the Federal Commission on combating synthetic opioid trafficking. It finds Mexico is now the dominant source of the country's fentanyl supply and synthetic opioids. Between 2014 and 2019, fentanyl up 80% seized by federal authorities, and that comes from China. I want to get your take on this. You told me when I saw you at the border that Alejandro Mayorkas should step down immediately. Tell us what you feel in terms of Secretary Mayorkas, and what has been the impact of all of this fentanyl on West Virginia?
Absolutely. Well, first, I would say that West Virginia really experiences the undocumented alien problem through the high prevalence of fentanyl. Fentanyl has invaded our state at a very alarming rate. We're seeing drug overdose death rates go through the roof, and that's what I'm fighting to stop. And that's one of the reasons why I filed a lawsuit against the Department of Homeland Security. First, we wrote a letter to Mayorkas. He's ignored it. He's ignored every practical step to try to address the drug crisis. And I think on those grounds alone, he needs to go. This is a guy that doesn't seem to understand that Homeland Security means defending the homeland, not just from undocumented aliens, but from human trafficking and fentanyl. And he's not doing that. In fact, they're doing the opposite. They're actively trying to block the states that are trying to protect their people. On those grounds alone, Mayorkas needs to go, and I'm hopeful there'll be a groundswell about that. I've never seen such utter chaos than down at the border, and the administration's driving it, and it's got to stop. It's really hurting the American people, and folks are dying in West Virginia because of this terrible catastrophe.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have not heard President Biden mention the word fentanyl once. Not once in this entire year, and there has been no hearings whatsoever about the implications of a wide-open border.
I think it's just absolutely disgraceful. It's practically a crime. I think that the American people need to rise up and really be clear with the Biden administration and with Congress. Things have to change really quickly because we are paying a very heavy price. And it's time, and long past time, that we address these issues.
Yes. A.G. Morrisey, great to have you. Thanks for your leadership, and we'll keep following all of that. Thank you, sir. Patrick Morrisey
Thank you so much, Maria.
joining us.